What's up, everybody? Welcome into Fantasy Football Office Hours, brought to you by Front Yard Fantasy. I'm your host, Simon, joined by the esteemed Professor Joey Wright. What's up, Joey?
Not much. I'm not here to answer any questions. I just want to hang out with you, Simon. So I'm just going to sit here and play on my computer, and we'll chat whenever there's not questions.
Okay, and I'll do my best to answer them while Joey's doing whatever. He'll interject with random movie
Let's
facts
do that. Let's
throughout
see how
today's show.
out.
Every time you read something interesting, just no matter what I'm saying, just speak up and say it.
Walter Matthau is dead. Wow.
Oh, shit. Yeah. That's actually what it's like to live with me, if you've ever wondered. Just imagine you're going about your daily business, but people randomly pipe up with shit like, did you know pumpernickel actually means fart goblin in German? And then I just go back to what I'm doing and you go back to what you're doing. We got some questions in the chat to kick us off, but for those of you who have never joined us for office hours before, what we're doing is for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we are here answering your fantasy questions heading into week 7. Grimfan in here kicking us off. Wants to know Kendrick Bourne, Christian Kirk, Jalen Waddle, Michael Pittman, and Josh Palmer. Start 3 in full PPR. He's leaning towards Palmer over Kirk unless we can talk him out of it. Joey, which 3 of these would you be starting?
I can't imagine I'm sitting Kirk for Palmer. I'm checking my rankings real quick. No, I've got Christian Kirk as a top 15 wide receiver. That's a little high on him. He's more around wide receiver 20, but Joshua Palmer is still kind of in wide receiver 3 territory. Trevor Lawrence is starting, and he has been favoring Christian Kirk quite a bit this season. So I will be starting Kirk over Palmer in this scenario. And then Michael Pittman. Gardner Minshew loves Michael Pittman, as many of us do. And the other one, of course, Jalen Waddle. Yeah, so those are the 3 I'm going with.
I'm with you, Joey. I don't mind the matchup against the Saints. It's not scaring me off of Christian Kirk too much tonight. I don't think he'll see just shadow coverage from their top corner there. And they've been able to get it done. The only thing scaring me off is the over-under for this game set as low as it is. And then Trevor Lawrence passing yards prop on a lot of these sites is at like 219, 220 yards, Joey, which seems awfully low. And when I see Vegas saying stuff like that, low over-under, 219 passing yard line for Trevor Lawrence, I start getting a little nervous, but not enough to bench Kirk for Palmer. Damon here had another question for us. Said, gross, but do I start Watson or Mayfield with Fields injured? So Deshaun Watson is expected to be back. Baker Mayfield better than we've expected to start the year. Which way are you rolling, Joey?
He practiced today. Deshaun Watson did. So let's see. The matchup for Deshaun Watson would be against Indianapolis and Baker versus Atlanta. I'm going to actually adjust my rankings live on stream, which I used to do a lot yesterday on the Sunday morning show. And I'm going to go to Deshaun Watson here.
Deshaun Watson, because he played, you've got enough confidence to put him in there?
Yeah, if he's playing, I assume he's healthy enough. I think David Njoku taking second-degree burns to the face kind of lit a fire under Watson's butt to get back on the field. So I'll go with Watson.
Yeah, literally plays with second-degrry burns on his face. Shows up and plays. David Njoku
showed up like Moon Knight. It was crazy.
God, I love that dude. I love David Njoku so much. This one's close, but I do think because of the matchup against the Colts, I'll roll Watson here as well. They probably have similar floors. Watson has a bit higher upside for me. Jay wants to know PJ Walker or T-Bag.
I guess he's going to be nuts because it sounds like Deshaun Watson's going to play.
Yeah, so it's T-Bag. And he said, I actually have to make this decision. Matt said, Walker, I hardly know her.
Oh.
Also, Bob Harrison here stopped by saying, don't be scared, Simon. It will be okay. What's up, Bob? Welcome in. Craig wants to know, do I start Mason Taylor, Amari Niblack, or Luke Haas at tight end in my Campus to Canton League this week?
No, it's Mason Taylor by a significant margin.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joey. I don't even know why you would throw those other names in here,
on,
Craig. Grow up.
Hey, by the way, 2 weeks in a row, I've won in the Kings Classic IDP League.
Don't call it a comeback.
I shared in the little group chat the happy learn how to putt. Because like Joey learned how to use IDP players. Now they're all in trouble.
We got Matt in here wants us to grade a trade for him. Said ETN for Jerome Ford and Brandon Ayuk. Joey, how do you feel about this move from Matt?
So you are getting the ETN side. I feel really good for you, Matt, and I'd like to give you a hug.
I like the ETN side here, but I do think this is a fair trade. I don't think this is unfair. Ayuk is comparable probably in points to ETN at season's end, maybe. ETN slight favor over him, and Ford's a startable running back, at least for the time being. Joey, I wanted to ask you a question that I'm having to make in one of my leagues tonight going into Thursday night football. Alvin Kamara or Brian Robinson Jr.?
So Alvin Kamara is getting like 14 targets a game because Derek Carr can't throw the ball more than 5 yards. I have Alvin Kamara as a top 10 running back.
Top 10 running back this week.
Yeah, and Brian Robinson, he's 12th. And I'm looking at Fantasy Pros consensus as well, and that they're at 9 and 12. So, yeah, consensus agrees with me. I'd go Kamara over Brian Robinson Jr.
I've got Kamara in there right now. It's just all the reports about the Saints offensive line is really making me nervous. But to your point, what you just brought up, Derek Carr can't throw the ball more than 15 yards. And if he's in extreme pressure all night, maybe Kamara just gets peppered.
Who is your other running back that you can't start them both?
My other running back is Austin Eckler.
Oh, look at you, fancy boy.
What
about your flex?
We've got Christian Kirk and Brandon Ayuk down there right now.
I'd start Brian Robinson over Christian Kirk.
It's close though, right?
It's close.
Yeah. Maybe. Oh, I should first of all take your Thursday night players out of the flex. I need to get Christian.
Oh, you amateur!
Immediately.
Get out of here, Simon. Oh my goodness.
Matt in here said you look like you give superb hugs. And Craig says if Joey wins that league now that I gave him now that I showed him how to look at IDP players on waivers, I will be almost as pleased as if I won it.
No, seriously, I drafted and I did not take defensive line like I should have in defensive tackles. Like I was in trouble. And Craig's like, Joey, look at it this way. And like literally it was like opening Pandora's box. And I've nailed it 2 weeks in a row now. And it's looking good for this week so far. We shall see. But Craig, I think he beat the crap out of me the week we played. So we'll have a little bit of,
Scamper's in here with a question. Half PPR needs to start too. Dubs at Denver, Dylan at Denver, Craig Reynolds going up against Baltimore, Gus Edwards going up against the Lions, or any non-Mostert Miami running back at Philadelphia. Joey, are there two names that jump out at you here? We're getting Aaron Jones back this week, so that takes some of the shine off of an AJ Dillon start if there was any shine there to begin with.
I love Romeo Doubs. For the rest of this season, he is one of my favorite wide receivers you can buy low right now. He had a really bad game last 2 weeks ago, but before that, 2 double-digit target games in a row. I feel like he's going to be a safety blanket for Jordan Love the rest of the season. He's just going to be a possession receiver. Think of like a poor man's Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Doubs is a Chris Godwin. I am all in on starting Romeo Doubs. So start him, and then probably Gus Edwards.
The only thing with Gus Edwards is they got the Lions this week, right? The Ravens are going up against the Lions.
Good, yeah.
The Lions defense is giving up on average 47.17 rushing yards to opposing running backs, not individual running backs. An entire team's running back core is running for 47 yards on average against the Lions. I'm probably still going Gus Edwards here, but God, just any upside that did exist isn't present
now. If Jahmyr Gibbs does not start or is limited, Craig Reynolds becomes an interesting option.
The Reynolds was also limited at practice today.
Yeah,
so it's just all gross here. No love for any of the non-Mostert Miami running backs this week.
I don't like Jeff Wilson. I didn't like him coming into the season.
Shriggy wants to know, is Musgrave a drop at this point? Joe, are you holding on to Musgrave based on what we've seen?
With less enthusiasm for what I said about Romeo Doubs, like a short area target for Jordan Love to throw to, I want on my team for the rest of this season. So I'm not dropping Musgrave, especially at a position like tight end.
And everything else besides fantasy points is pointing in the right direction for Luke Musgrave, and tight end is just gross. So I'm paying attention to how much he's on the field. It's looking like he's becoming an integral part of this offense. We just got to see it play. I see Unruly Drip wants to know Christian Watson or Jordan Addison in a full PPR league. So Christian Watson or Jordan Addison. Like we were just talking about, we got the Packers going up against the Denver Broncos. Mm-hmm. And then Jordan Addison's playing the 49ers this week, Joey. Tough matchup.
While I love Jordan Addison there with J. Jett is out, it's going to be Christian Watson for me. That San Francisco 49ers defense is really good. And I don't want to put – yeah, they were very, very good. Even though the Cleveland Browns beat them last week, they're still very good. Their defenses. So yeah, it's going to be Christian Watson for me.
I think I'll still roll Addison. I'm just more comfortable with what his volume will be, even if it's against that 49ers defense. But I understand plugging Watson in there as well. Shriggy had another question for us. Lamar Jackson and Devontae Adams for Raheem Mostert and Jamar Chase. Who wins? Let's assume one quarterback here. Otherwise, I don't think this trade's going down. Which side do you like, Joey?
The Jamar Chase side, just because I get Jamar Chase. I assume if you are willing to trade your quarterback, that means you've got an elite caliber talent, like maybe like a Jared Goff on your fantasy squad. So yeah, I'm fine letting Lamar Jackson go if I'm going to get Jamar Chase.
It took me a second for that to register because he just has been good this year.
Yes!
It was like unironic when you
so
said
good.
that. It took a minute for it to click in. I'm with you, Joey. Give me the Jamar Chase and Raheem Mostert side of this one. Grim wants to know, which stack do I start this week? Jordan Love and Christian Watson or Brock Purdy and George Kittle? What are you doing here?
Oh boy. I mean, start Love, Watson, and Kittle. That's the route I would go. I know that is a stack, yeah, but so it's the Love Watson side.
I'd be starting the Love Watson side as well here.
And then start Kittle. Yeah.
You can plug Kittle in there. You're not scared off of Kittle after maybe some inconsistency through the first 6 weeks?
Not against the Vikings, and he had 3 touchdowns the other week. So I think Kittle's going to be used quite a bit, especially if Debo doesn't play. Kittle's going to get his feast. I've got Kittle ranked above. I think I have him as my tight end 3 this week. I do. Absolutely. I got him above Dallas Goedert and my love child, Sam Laporta. I think Laporta might stumble and struggle this week against the Ravens' very stingy defense.
When Grim said Hawkinson is his other tight end. So in that matchup, you're starting Kittle over Hawkinson in that game against each other?
That's me being bold. But I mean, I'm looking at both Football Guys and Fantasy Pros has Hawkinson above Kittle, but I personally would put Kittle in above Hawkinson.
Man, I feel like people upset with Kittle's fantasy output this year have never rostered George Kittle before.
Mm-hmm.
This is the George Kittle experience. It's not going to be fully consistent. This team has too many weapons, but boy, is he going to win you some weeks. You're going to have weeks where just go ahead, Joey.
And then he's going to put a pro wrestling mask on as soon as he's done winning you. That's what he's going to do.
God. Man, there are some players that TikTok has made me love more, and George Kittle is one of those players. They're always just showing clips of him just like he's like just a bro being a dude. I feel like that's his life mission.
I didn't like the t-shirt with the F Dallas. I didn't like that, but I don't know. That's just
sometimes when you push the line, you piss some people off.
Sometimes you got to cross it,
Unruly Drip wants to know Jahmyr Gibbs or Javonte Williams in PPR. Well, if Gibbs doesn't play, this is easy. It's Javonte. Yeah. Joe, if Gibbs does play, which way are you going?
It's Gibbs for me. While I like Javonte, that's a 3-headed monster there. And it's a 2-headed monster, but I'm just saying 3-headed because I like to think P. Ryan's still involved.
It's going to be Gibbs for me as well. Though I think Javonte's a fine start. It's just boring. Mr. Scampers and here's the PPR need 2. Jalen Warren at the Rams, KJ Osborne at San Francisco, or Craig. So Craig Reynolds going up against the Baltimore Ravens. So he's starting Addison and Debo, who play Monday. So he'd like to save Osborne for the emergency start in case one of those guys is out last second. Joey, which of those 2 would you start? Would you start Jalen Warren and Craig Reynolds, or are you plugging KJ Osborne in instead? This stinks if you're saving Osborne. You're kind of answering the question for yourself, Scampers, because I'd rather play Osborne over Craig Reynolds, to be honest. But Warren, I'm starting Warren. Looks like he's the better, especially PPR running back in Pittsburgh right now. It seems like it's going to come down to your risk tolerance. Like I think the optimal starting lineup has Osborne in there ahead of Craig Reynolds, but then you're taking away your safety blanket for Monday night. I'd probably do it. I'd probably start KJ Osborne and just hope that both of those guys play. And if they don't, you got 3 days to figure out another contingency plan.
How use check
exactly
in that lineup.
You can just throw Debo in your IR and pick up somebody on the 49ers.
I feel like that's
always when you start Kyle Juszczyk. It's like the emergency start. You're like, oh shit, I forgot to pick someone up. It's Sunday. Oh, good. Kyle Juszczyk's on waivers.
Yeah.
That's my I feel like at tight end, my line for that is CJ Uzama. Like if I started CJ Uzama, it's an emergency. And that's my emergency start player. Do you have any players that like are your go-to? Like, oh, I forgot. And you can just grab them off the waiver wire almost always.
Allen Robinson and Kyle Juszczyk. I don't win a lot of those weeks. It seems. You know, it's funny. Anytime I've started Tommy Tremble, I've won the week. It's this like mystery card that I've always got out there. And it's like, I guess it's a Tommy Tremble week.
But it has to be out of necessity. You can't.
It does. I can't just put him in. Like, it's got to be like, oh, crap. Here we go. I need Tommy Tremble to get me 2 touchdowns. And somehow he does. So
every time he scores, I scream. I can't help it.
So
Damon here says, Jawan Jennings, welcome to the squad, baby.
Let's go.
But Scampers, in all seriousness, that's exactly what I would be doing. I'd be starting Osborne and then setting yourself up for a different contingency plan if you needed to. Unruly Drip with a great question. Taysom Hill, rookie tight end, Luke Musgrave. Joey, are you throwing in Taysom Hill or are you going with your Musgrave love?
I will never start Taysom Hill because I will get it wrong. And we share this. It's like our love language, Simon, is starting Taysom Hill in the wrong weeks. It's Luke Musgrave. I do like the matchup for him a lot, so it's an easy Musgrave for me.
I tried to call for a Taysom Hill week earlier this year. I took my yearly shot and it didn't work. It did not work at all. I'm going Musgrave here as well. We've got Santo DiCarlo in here. What's up, Santo? Wants to know Wan'Dale Robinson, Elijah Moore, or JSN at flex in full PPR. Those are 3 similarly tiered wide receivers. So I understand why this is a bit of a question for you. Joey, are there any names that jump out at you right away?
JSN, we're starting to see him creep into that offense a little bit. And I don't think it's working right now with Lockett and Metcalf. They're struggling, and Geno, they're going to have to change something. And I think JSN is a really great thing to start looking at.
No temptation for Wan'Dale Robinson. It does look like he's starting to maybe separate himself from the rest of the 400 slot wide receivers on the Giants team.
You know, JL is our good colleague and friend, John Luke Garofalo, is a big fan of that Giants defense. I think the Giants might turn into a team that just leans on Saquon Barkley and that defense to try to win them games, which I think will pull Wan'Dale out a little bit. So I would still rather see JSN.
And Wan'Dale's still limited in practice as of Wednesday. I haven't seen the update from today's practice, but I'm with you. It's going to be JSN for me. It is between JSN and Wan'Dale, though. Elijah Moore is a bit further down on that list for me. Are there any other Browns receivers besides Amari Cooper that you're comfortable starting? David Njoku?
No. I don't mind Njoku. I guess when you said receivers, I was thinking just wide receivers, but no, I don't mind Njoku. I'm off the Donovan Peoples-Jones train, which was just not a fun train to be on. Lots of logs on the tracks and stuff.
The idea of the train was fun.
Yeah.
No, like whatever.
Really nice seats, beautiful, just doesn't run.
When that train was pitched to me, I was like, oh, I'm in. Get me a seat. Yeah. Almost as good as the Polar Express that I went on with Santa Claus when I was 5. That was disappointing, though. He was definitely not the real Santa, Joey. It was the most discount double check Santa Claus I'd ever seen in my life on that train.
I'm never sure if it's the real Santa, but I still go and sit on his lap every single time.
You know, when I was little, our family friend was a large bearded man. And so as a part-time job in the winters, he did Santa work. He would dress up as Santa and go out. And one time when I was 4, he came to my preschool dressed as Santa, greeted me by name. And if you want street cred as a 4-year-old, having Santa Claus show up and call you by name is about as good as it gets. Yep. I was legit, man. People were like, oh shit, you know Santa Claus? It's like, yeah, he's my neighbor.
Have you seen the SNL skit with Ryan Gosling and it's a Vanessa Bayer, and they are a couple that are at an adult Christmas party, and one of the guys is like, well, Santa's upstairs, and they start like freaking out because they're like, oh my God, Santa's upstairs. But it's one of those SNL skits that like pre-recorded, and it's like filmed in a Tarantino style. So it's like turns into like Natural Born Killer. It's hysterical.
Everyone should check that out. I've never seen it. That's your homework, everyone.
Yeah.
We have a couple more questions pop in here. Well, first, an update. Jamal Williams active tonight. Does that change your Alvin Kamara thoughts at all, Joey?
It changes my Kendra Miller thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Scampers wants to know, in a super flex league, so this is in Scott Fishbowl scoring, tight end points, all that jazz, first down points, and Gardner Minshew, Kareem Hunt, or Taysom Hill. Give me Minshew. I know the temptation to start other positions, but I'm throwing Minshew in there.
Yeah, the Browns defense is tough, but I mean, I'm going to start a quarterback over Hunt and Hill.
Yeah. Parker in here said start two: Ramondre Stevenson, James Cook, Amari Cooper, or Jameer.
Ooh, those are options.
Those are options.
If Deshaun Watson's playing Amari Cooper, it's going to be hard for me to sit Amari Cooper going forth this season. PJ Walker has found a connection with him. I sat him last week in the league, and I regret it so much. And I assume Deshaun Watson will find good rapport with him. So Amari Cooper for sure. And then, I was really down on Ramondre Stevenson. I was on the Fantasy Pros podcast this week, and I said to sell high on him because he had a good game. But I'm going to start Ramondre this week
over James Cook in that same game against each other.
I don't like James Cook.
Yeah.
It's really tough for me to start James Cook. I just don't. It's not on the Taysom Hill level. I just don't know when he's going to have a good game, and I don't think the Bills see him as their running back solution. Still, he might be the best running back to start on the Bills right now. I think that's probably where the Bills address next year in the draft in the first 2 rounds. Like they go get themselves a true running back.
I'm going to agree with you on Amari Cooper, but I am going to plug James Cook in over Ramondre Stevenson. Ramondre, his good games have come against poor defenses, and this Bills defense isn't poor. So I'm a little bit scared off. But it's close between those two guys. Dame wanted to know Jamal Williams or Taysom Hill in Scott Fishbowl. Now that we know Jamal Williams is active, a reminder that tight ends get that extra boost, 1.75, I believe, in Scott Fishbowl. But Taysom Hill doesn't catch the ball anyways.
Yeah, he just throws the ball. It's Jamal Williams. This New Orleans Saints running back room has always been catch it Kamara, and then we'll have a guy beat it down the throats. And Jamal Williams is going to beat it down the throat people's throats tonight.
Joey, you know what's going to happen now that you and I have both said not to start Taysom Hill to multiple people, right? You and I have both told multiple people now. We don't always get Taysom Hill questions not to start Taysom Hill. Oh, he's getting like a 3 touchdown game.
And the thing is, I won't be watching, so I will be leaving my movie because I'm going to see a movie tonight. I'm actually skipping a football game, which I rarely do. Only for you, Martin Scorsese. And I'll get out of the movie and I'll look at my phone and be like, son of a gun, Taysom Hill. You did it, you scoundrel.
You'll come out of the movie. If you see 18 texts from Simon Grunewald, it's going to be because Taysom Hill scored his 3rd touchdown. Willen here wanted us to rate his trade as we're about to wrap up here. We're going to hit 2 more of these questions and then we're going to be done. But if you guys have more questions, the link to our Discord is in the description of this video. Join there and ask us any questions you have in the Fantasy Questions channel. We'd be happy to answer them for you. Will wants to know about his trade offer in a 2-quarterback league. Trades away Jalen Waddle, Alexander Mattison, and Desmond Ridder for Devonta Smith and CJ Stroud. How do you feel about this, Joey?
Man, I don't know. I really don't. If it's dynasty, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it because CJ Stroud's been playing really well this season. And maybe that's where I need to get my brain at is like Devonta Smith. I think he's one of the best buy lows you can go out there and grab right now. Him and T. Higgins go buy low.
There's another good buy low on the other side in Jalen Waddle. Know what I mean? Like they're not capitalizing.
Waddle's the name. I don't care about losing Madison or Ridder at all. Like it's just Jalen Waddle and that Miami offense is still going to be good this season. I'm okay with it. I'll give it a B-. A C is like an even on both sides trade. B-, you're a little bit better on your side.
I'm preferring the Waddle Madison Ridder side on this one, actually. In redraft. In Dynasty, I'm with you. It's clearly the other side. But the difference for me is with the Falcons showing the propensity to throw the ball a little bit more the past couple of weeks, the fantasy gap between Ridder and Stroud is a little bit closer than it was 3 weeks ago for me. So I don't want to give up Waddle and Madison for Devonta Smith whenever I view the QB move as somewhat lateral. Like there's a slight upgrade, but I think Ridder's going to be fine back half of the year. Mm-hmm. Grim fan wanted to know Puka Nacua, George Pickens, Olave, Foreman, or Pacheco. Start 3 with a flex in full PPR. So 3 of those players need to be started. Puka Nacua is in there for me, and Olave is in there for me. Just set up. Are you going a different direction?
I'm Pickens and Pacheco over Olave.
Pickens and Pacheco over Olave.
I do not trust Derek Carr, and I do not like Chris Olave. Chris Olave needs some separation to be able to put up fantasy points. And I'm afraid Derek Carr is not the quarterback to get that. If Derek Carr gets injured in the first quarter and they put in Jameis Winston, I think Chris Olave would be a must start this week.
I guess I'm not as scared off of Derek Carr. There's just a hope that the volume supports someone like Olave, but I think I'm going Pickens is the third guy here, but Pacheco is ever so close to George Pickens.
Top 12 running back this season.
So you're going Nakua, Pickens, and Pacheco. Is that what you said?
Can I make a case for Pacheco?
Do it.
He's on one of the best offenses in the league, and he's already surpassed his receiving work from last season. They're throwing him the ball, which is something they did not do last year. They were really leaning on Jerick McKinnon. I really think Isaiah Pacheco could finish as a top 12 running back. He's there right now, and there's a lot of guys out there. Zach Moss not going to finish as a top 12 running back. He could get up in the top 10 territory. He really could. I'm in on Pacheco.
He's the back we've been waiting for since Kareem Hunt left the Chiefs. All right, one more here, and then we are going to call it. Mr. Scamper said half PPR, Jaleel McLaughlin versus Green Bay or Elijah Mitchell at Minnesota, even with CMC active. Joey, which way are you rolling here?
Is CMC going to be active? I'm going Elijah Mitchell. I think even with CMC on the field, Elijah Mitchell will get work, especially if he's injured, because I think San Francisco gets right and they win this game. And why are you putting CMC out there in the second half of the game if you're already winning by 21 points?
I'm with you, Joey. Kyle Shanahan loves that man way too much to get him injured. Did you see his answer whenever they asked him, like, do you ever think about like what this team would be like if you didn't trade for Christian McCaffrey? Have you seen that clip?
No.
And Kyle Shanahan just says, don't say that. And then they move. He just tells them, don't say that. That's not the reality. Shh. Well, everybody watching, thank you so much for coming and hanging out during fantasy football office hours. Professor Joey, anything you'd like to say to the students before we leave?
Everyone enjoy Thursday Night Football. I will be in a movie theater eating popcorn, watching Martin Scorsese's possibly last film and crying. Not because the movie's sad. I mean, it is sad, but like it's seeing one of the greats go out and stuff.
And I'll be crying at home watching Taysom Hill score his third touchdown of the night. Guys, that's going to be it for office hours. Check us out on our YouTube channel at Front Yard Fantasy and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll see you tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern time for some more fantasy football game show fun. Until then, adios and good luck in your matchups this week.
Let's go.